All right, elk, you're in trouble today. I got a real camera guy with me today and tomorrow. There's an elk gonna hit the deck. And if not an elk, the camera guy, Jace, has a deer tag. So if we see a nice buck, maybe we'll still get something anyhow. Big old bull's gonna walk out of here, right down below us. Jace is gonna ask me, you passing on that one like you did last time I was with you? Nope. I'm done passing. All business now. We hiked in here a pretty good stretch. Got ourselves all set up for the evening glassing. And those guys jumping there side by side. Drive by, nice folks, say wave. That is where I thought the elk were going to come out of, right where they drove up to. I can't tell you how many elk I've seen come out of those woods, right where they drove to. Oh, maybe that will force them to, the elk will come out over here instead of up there. And that'll push them closer to us. Yeah. Gotta have a little optimism here, Randy. It's blustery and windy. You have every reason to be down in the dumps, but think about it, man. You're out elk hunting. Your buddy Jace has a deer tag. It's a week before Thanksgiving or the week of Thanksgiving. I mean, what's to be upset about? Suppose you'll give us a ride back, Jace? Looks like he only had room for one. There were 3 people in there, so you can hitch a ride. I'll walk. Have the truck warmed up for me when I get there. The good news is, if you get distracted and you bring a guy like Jace, he finds a bull. The bad news is he's on private, but, you know, I expect that when I hunt these public-private places, that most of the elk are going to be on private. He's got an hour and a half to get over here to public. That old Jace, I tell you what, you bring old Jace with you, you're going to be seeing the stuff. I know a lot of people wonder why I apply in units that have so much private land. Well, there's quite a few reasons. One, tags are easier to draw because most people don't want to deal with the frustration. I mean, I get it. I'm frustrated at times, but I end up with a tag probably twice as often. I'm pretty handy with a map, so if there's a bull or a buck on public, I'm probably going to be able to tell that. The quality of the animals is usually a little bit better because the private creates some age sanctuaries. And I always make sure that wherever it is, I want to have a spot where the private gets hunted some. I don't care if it's an outfitter, private people who just hunt their own land or friends hunt their land, because one of the frustrations will be is if all of the elk congregate on private and there is zero hunting pressure, they're just going to stay there. So today a side-by-side drove past us, and I think they may have permission because they're going up and around over onto what would probably be private. And there's a chance they could bump that or some other bulls our direction. So I know it's got it requires a mindset, right? That, okay, probably 3 or 4 out of every 5 bulls I see, I won't be able to go after. But there'll be some I can if I just keep plucking at it and plucking at it. And you've noticed that I've been hunting mostly small little pieces, 1 or 2 square miles. And that's just what I have available to me in this area, are these really small parcels. And I was up here in archery season with Dustin and Nate and Kyler. Didn't see anything. Then I came back the 3rd day of rifle season with Jace, and I saw a bunch, and I maybe should have shot one of those. And then I've been back 4 other days by myself, filming myself, just putzing around, trying to find, are there any elk in here? And it's a little bit different than most years I've hunted this. There's really not much snow. And I think the places I normally find them in this unit require more snow. And so I'm striking out a lot more than I normally do, but I got a good feeling about today or tomorrow. We're going home for Thanksgiving, and then we're coming back for the last 3 days. About 20 minutes left of legal shooting light. We got about, 35, 40 minute hike out of here. Thought maybe we'd check some of these last little cuts here on our way out. Saw 3 bulls, all on private by anywhere from 1/4 to a half mile. The good news is one of them is kind of moving this way. Who knows what he'll do tonight. It's supposed to snow tomorrow. I don't know what our visibility will be like, but something tells me if the wind's blowing like it is today, these trees are going to be a necessity. Montana, where the wind blows. Not quite like Wyoming, but it still blows pretty good. Left the truck at 16 degrees. The wind is really whipping up here. Guess this will decide or show us how bad we want an elk. Well, in prior years when I hunted this, the snow was up to your knees. And on the ridges it was even higher. I think that kept the ATVs and side-by-sides out of here. Right now, this morning, guy came by on a 4-wheeler, just pop. They must have permission, because this is private over here, and they're just driving right through it. Like, maybe I'm the dumps. Maybe there's an easement there, and I don't know about it. But whenever I do it, I drop down in this bottom and climb back out the other side because this little corner of private there. Everyone's probably looking at me like, you fool? What are you doing, man? Just driving right through there. Get that raptor out here. I've had a lot of fun on this hunt exploring places I've not hunted before. But all the places I explored, I didn't see anything. So I'm back to hunting the places that I've had pretty good luck spotting elk before. Wind is screaming. Got 2 bulls over there on private. Actually 3. Another one just came out. But they're a half mile on the private, about where that one was last night. Been at it for a few hours. Saw 3 bulls this morning, but again, they're far off on private. And I'm just noticing a habit, or a pattern maybe, that when there's enough snow, or so little snow that the ATVs and side-by-sides can drive in here, it seems to have the elk further away. When you can only walk in here, these ridges of public behind me are usually where the elk hang out. But so tomorrow's Thanksgiving. I think what we're gonna do, we're gonna hike out of here. And then I'm gonna go do some recon this afternoon and see if some of the other spots I have in mind would work for Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. Those are the last 3 days of season. And maybe get Jace rested up. He sounds like he's getting a hell of a cold today, Jace. I don't know where you picked that up. Some guy at the burger joint last night might have coughed on your burger or something. But so rather than just sit here, I got to do something productive with my time. And going and scouting and checking these other spots that I've hunted before to see if I can get in there. Probably a better use of my time than just sitting here letting the wind blow on me out there when I'm trying to glass. So that's a plan. And if I can't find some spots I can get into, I'm not sure what my plan will be for the last 3 days of season. But I got a pumpkin pie and a turkey to eat and ruminate on that while I figure out what I'm going to do. I got to have a plan. Otherwise, I'm going to end up with an empty sack. And all of you are going to say, Randy, you should have shot those ones the first day when you and Jace were out here. Yeah, that's what they're going to say. But I'm happy with my decision. Well, you might notice I'm all by myself. The other day when we were out here, Jace was not feeling well, so we went home, had some Thanksgiving dinner, and he texted me last night that he's feeling even worse. So I told him to stay home. I'd try to do this myself. So here I am. Me, my rifle, my pack, 2 tripods, 2 cell phones, a GoPro, an all-in digiscope adapter for my spotter, and one of these funky little remote mics. You see this right here? They have about a 2-hour battery life. They plug into this phone. And see if I can do this. You think about what a perfect setup it takes, right? I need an elk that's undisturbed, doesn't know I'm there, so I can get the spotter set up, I can get the GoPro for the wide shot, get the all-in adapter on the spotter, turn all that on, and then worry about killing the elk. So if I see an elk and I get excited and it doesn't end up being perfect video, I hope you'll forgive me, because the plan was these last 3 days, today, tomorrow, and Sunday, I'd have a pro, but I don't. So we'll make do and see how it turns out. Kind of chilly today. It's about 22 degrees right now at 2 in the afternoon. The warmest time of the day, it's only 22 degrees. And I know when I go around the corner here, the wind's going to be chucking. So I'm going to go set up one of my glassing spots. I'm not going way back in because, I only have, probably by the time I get out there in 45 minutes, I probably only have an hour and a half this evening to really do much hunting. And I'm going to see what's going on. There's 2 or 3 inches of fresh snow. So maybe this has them on their feet. The cold weather hopefully has them out a little earlier, and maybe we can make it work. Wish me luck. Well, I'm sitting on my favorite glassing spot out here. Right now, all I'm glassing is mule deer. But it's getting to be that time where if the elk are here, They should get up on their feet pretty soon. And if so, I got a pretty long hike. If they come out where they normally do, it's a long jaunt over there. But I just need one of them to make a mistake. Just one of them. I got a mule deer buck bedded over there. Young 4-point. Probably a 3.5-year-old. And not going to go shoot him for the sake of trying to fill a deer tag when he's on the same ridge where the elk usually, if they come out on public, that's the ridge they come out on. So I'm going to just be patient. Might regret it, but it's what I'm going to do. I was hoping I'd see some elk, but I only got about 20-25 minutes left. And today's Friday. I took Thursday off. I saw elk just over here on the private on Tuesday. Saw bulls again on Wednesday. I wasn't here yesterday to know what happened, but got here this afternoon and thought I might see something. I guess I still got a little time, but it'd be nice to see them come out and have a plan for where they might be so that in the morning I'm not just kind of hoping and praying. As they say in sports, hope isn't a strategy. But given how my strategies have paid off, hope might be just as good of a strategy. Well, that last light right at the top of that little tree you see there, that's close to me, up in that opening, right up there. 2 bulls came out right here at last 15 minutes of light. Nothing big. And they're just slightly on to private. 1.5 miles over there. Couldn't get over there in time, even if they were big, and even if they were on public. And unfortunately, they're heading the wrong way. They're headed west. I need them to head east or south, and they're heading west. Dang it. Oh well. Keep looking for a few more minutes, and then I'm gonna start walking out of here. Got about 5 minutes to legal shooting light. I'm about, I don't know, 400 or 500 yards from a glassing spot. Standing here out of the wind. Gonna be windy today. Hopefully it'll put the elk on some of these east-facing slopes. Wind's coming hard out of the west, northwest. A lot of times they'll be on those east slopes to stay out of the wind. And those are the slopes that I can look into. Let's hope there's 3 bulls there. Only about 100 yards on the private. If they feed down the hill, they're going to be on public. Right now, they're not on that closest ridge. They're on that secondary ridge. So the second ridge you can see from me, that's where they're at. Well, the good news is I got 6 bulls out here. From this distance, I can't tell if they're on public or private. They're right on the boundary. They're 100 yards, 50 yards maybe, one way or the other of the boundary. I'll wait them out and and see what they do. Well, those bulls have made it to their beds, or they're on their way to their beds. They're in the timber, going the wrong direction, going over to further in private. So I'm not gonna just sit here for the next 7 or 8 hours. I'm gonna go see if I can find something else. I don't have much time, so I might hike back in here this evening if I don't find anything else. But right now, I can't just sit here and wait and hope that they'll come back out tonight. I know they'll come out tonight, but every bull I've seen here this week is anywhere from 5 yards to 500 yards off the public boundary. And I don't know why. I don't know if it's the snow conditions. I don't know if it's the amount of just pressure that's been in here. Normally they prefer these ridges that are public. That's why I keep coming in here. But something's different this year. So rather than just sit here and mope and wish, I'm gonna go try and make something happen. I got another spot. It's not very big, but if elk were looking to get away from things and get out of the wind, there's some little fingers of timber there that I was there a couple weeks ago. There were none in there, but there were some close by, so maybe some could have pushed in there by now. And beats just sitting here staring at the trees trying to stay out of the wind. So gonna go hike out of here, go do some more hiking, see what they come up with. When I'm hiking out, ran into a couple good old boys on a side-by-side. They have a cabin right up the hill here. Wondered if the people who had that cabin ever hunted. We got to talking about the elk. The guy who had the cabin told me, he said, I don't know what's going on. He said, 10 years ago, he said even 5 years ago, the bulls like the public. He said now, he comes in here and hunts quite a bit. He said just about all the elk are lower and on the private. Wish I would have bumped into him earlier in the season. All right, we got this afternoon and we got tomorrow morning. Better come up with a better plan, Randy, because these old boys kind of confirmed what you've been seeing here. Unfortunately, I've invested 5 days in here and saw elk pretty much every time. But exactly what those guys said was pretty much the pattern. Well, see what happened at this spot. I can see there's been some other people in here, but they might have been deer hunting rather than elk hunting. And I know it's a bit of a crapshoot because it's pretty far from the mountains, but I know elk come in here because I saw elk, dried out elk poop last time I was in here. I think they winter in here more than anything. But maybe there's a few of them that decided to leave the mountains early with the snow and just find some peaceful place where they wouldn't get harassed. So fingers crossed. I don't know, to do this whole loop is about 4 miles. Be good exercise. I wondered how far I'd have to hike before I encountered some other boot prints. I'm in here about a mile probably, before I finally ran into somebody wearing cannon tracks. I think they got the same plan I have. I didn't see anyone parked down there, so I think they were in here yesterday, maybe this morning, and they already got out. But Good looking spot. Could easily be elk in here. I mean, when I was here a couple weeks ago, just a mile and 3/4 over there to the west, there's a big herd of them out on a little knob in the prairie that had about, I don't know, 10, 15 trees. The elk were all hanging out there. So, just gonna slowly walk these rims and look down in every one of these little coulees. And for this afternoon, I'm just gonna sit out on the west end, see if anything comes by. There's a bit of a funnel and saddle there. I'm glad I know about this spot. I wouldn't have found it if I didn't have this elk tag. I'm sure some other people know of it, but it doesn't look like it gets a lot of use. Maybe there's a reason for that. Maybe everyone knows better. Couple days old, it's starting to melt out, but since this snow came on Thursday, 2 days ago, 2 elk have been here. Dang, looks like I should have been here a couple days ago. I'm gonna follow these tracks and see where they go. I mean, it's been a long time. They're not here, I'm sure, but it'll maybe take me to where they like to hang out. Here's a group of elk out on the prairie. They're about 1.25 miles away. That cultivated or dry land field you see in front of them, that's 1 mile from where I'm sitting. That's the other end of it. So they're a little over 1 mile away. It's too bad. What you see here are all these little cuts and coulees and little hiding spots that they could just come a mile, bed in here to hide from everything. In the morning, they could go back out and feed. Sure, some of them do that, but not the majority of them. Sure, the majority of them go south a couple miles where they can get some bigger mountains and stuff, but getting to be quite a bit of snow up there. I'm just gonna sit here the rest of the night. Got some little drainages below me that maybe a deer would pass through. Well, I'm gonna hike my way out of here. Got about 20 minutes of shooting light left, half hour maybe. Got about 1.5 mile hike. See what's over on the other side here. I don't know if I'll see anything, but I've seen there are a lot of mule deer does. I got tomorrow morning. I don't know what I'm gonna do. Tried a lot of different things. Pretty much same result every time. Find some elk, and they're over on Pratt. But kind of knew that when I applied for this tag. I just wanted to come and explore and hopefully find something special. Haven't found anything special yet. Stay tuned. Last day tomorrow. Season ends at this time tomorrow. Well, I'm standing here in this pocket of trees trying to get out of the wind. I look over there. There were 2 bulls feeding right on the ridge line. One of them is bedded. The other one, I think, went over into the timber, probably bedded. Whew, even in here, the wind is bad. Anywhere that's open enough that you can glass, the wind's just pounding. But I'm gonna go over, glass this stuff more to my north. That's all public. That's where I need a bull to show up. So, dang it. This is close. This guy is really close, actually. Now that I get to looking at my map, he's further down the ridge than I thought. And I think he's bedded within 50 yards of the property line. At first, I thought he was further up when I was looking at my map. I'm like, oh, he's definitely on private. Now he's one way or the other, just a few yards. But if you went over there and shot him and he went that way, even a short distance, he's on private. So that'd be a risky proposition. I ain't gonna do that. All right, grab my spotter and go look for some other ones. Quite a few lessons on this hunt. I'm not sure if people want me to tell them all. Probably one of the best lessons is if you have a tag, don't chop up your dates. Give it 5 days or 7 days or whatever, instead of a day or two here and a day or two there, like I've done it. Because just when you start learning a pattern or you start to see what the pattern is, the pattern changes when you come back 5 days later. So, but every once in a while I do these hunts like this, and it really gives me an appreciation for the term weekend warrior, right? The working person who only gets to hunt on the weekends. And I'm really blessed that now that I'm done being a CPA, this is what I do. But a lot of people, that's what they've got to do. They got to try to put that puzzle together, on a 2-day hunt. And just about Sunday night, when they think they've got it figured out, they got to go back to work. And when they come back the next Friday night, things are completely different. So definitely a lesson or a reminder to me. I mean, I know that, but it's just how my calendar worked out. And it's good for me to have to hunt it like a weekend hunter would have to do. So the bull finally got up and walked off somewhere. Must have moved off when I was looking for other elk. Anyhow, thanks for following along on this hunt. I wish I had something more to show for it, but what I do have to show for it are some fun times, learning a lot, and I think, I'm pretty sure that I had a good effort. Even though it wasn't one block of effort, the amount of times I came up here and did this, it's fun. Next time, I'll go about it differently, but there may not be a next time for this unit. This is my 3rd time I've had the tag and shot one really nice bull. Shot my biggest bull in this unit. And then one year I messed it up. I kind of did what I did this year. I didn't come up here for a dedicated week like I should have, but oh well. Appreciate y'all following along. Off to the next adventure.